Hey everybody, it's Line Rider here, bringing you my top 20 favorite video games of all time. This video has been long in the making, but I've finally decided to commit to finishing it this summer. Before we get started, keep in mind that I'm ranking these based on my personal enjoyment while playing them, so many of the best video games won't be on this list for that reason. There are two in particular that I always love watching people play, but don't really like playing myself, that I'll quickly mention right now. Garry's Mod, specifically Prop Hunt and Guess Who, and Super Mario Maker, the Wii U version. Finally, I'll be limiting each franchise to one entry unless I just can't choose, but I will mention any other games from a franchise I was considering putting on the list as well. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 20. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. And we're already starting with an interesting game. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is an asymmetrical cooperative party game where one person is the bomb defuser and everyone else is an expert. The defuser can only look at the bomb, and the experts can only look at the manual that gives instructions on how to defuse different modules on the bomb. They must communicate with each other constantly to defuse the bomb, trying to avoid blowing it up by running out of time or making too many mistakes. This game is stressful, and part of the stress comes from the directions the manual gives to defuse a module, which can often be confusing for beginners if they don't read thoroughly. However, once the defuser knows how to efficiently communicate information from the bomb to the experts, and the experts know how to defuse the modules without a hitch, this game becomes tons of fun and a huge thrill rush. Aside from adding more modules, the only thing I would change is make the Morse code module able to be restarted, because that's the only module where you have to wait in order to even start defusing it. Of course, this game does have very limited potential, which is why it's at the bottom of the list. Number 19. Mario & Luigi: Bowser's Inside Story. I have to admit I'm not too big of a fan of RPGs in general, but when the developers make the RPG feel like a true adventure rather than just a grind, I'm more willing to accept it. This game in particular does that quite well, with a rather big and complicated story. I don't want to talk about this game too much lest I spoil anything major, but I'll describe what I can. As usual with this game series, the humor is top-notch, especially between Fawful and Bowser. The interactions between Mario and Luigi and Bowser are interesting, because they fight in the overworld, but they cooperate when the brothers are in Bowser's body. The combat system is engaging, with the responsive simple attacks and the intricate and well-balanced special attacks. And of course, the visual presentation is quite good, with intuitive UI and compelling environments. Sadly, the second time I tried playing through the game, I got stuck at the giant Bowser fight, where you have to use the microphone perfectly in order to win. I don't know if it was the microphone's fault or not, but I just can't seem to replicate the success I had in my first time playing it. You can't progress through the story without winning that fight, so I'm stuck in that place. For the time I was able to play through the full game though, it gets this spot on my list. Number 18. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. You might consider me to be cheating when I put this game on the list, as it stems from Super Mario 3D World, and there is a 3D Mario Adventure higher on the list. However, this game deviates from it enough in terms of gameplay for me to warrant giving it a spot on the list, and man does that difference in gameplay matter a lot. While most games in the Mario universe are very action-heavy, this game relies more on solving puzzles, as your movement is very limited. But they took Captain Toad's lack of a jump as a challenge rather than an obstacle, and the puzzles they were able to make with it are truly clever. Instead of having tons of controls for Captain Toad, you have tons of controls for moving the stage around with the touchscreen and the microphone, and you have to really study the stage, including the enemies, in order to succeed. There are tons of different types of levels, whether they be stealthy, dangerous, or mysterious. The game truly shines with this boss battles, as you have to maneuver around the stage while the boss is constantly changing it, while also thinking about how to attack the boss with the resources you have. The aesthetics, as usual, are amazing for the Wii U, and they only get better if you have the Switch version. That version also removes the need for the Toad amiibo to find Pixel Toad, and it replaces the Mario 3D World stage ports with new stages inspired by Mario Odyssey. Both welcome changes to the formula. While this game is ultimately pretty short, only lasting about 15 hours, I think it went quite underrated as other Mario games took the spotlight, and it's a quite solid puzzle platformer for what it is. Number 17, Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. As soon as you start up this game, you can feel the nostalgia and inspiration rush over you. While the graphics aren't technically top-notch, the game looks stunning for the era of gaming it's trying to emulate. The controls are simple, quick, and responsive for all three characters, with slightly different controls for each that make the entire game feel fresh and interesting. There are a variety of obstacles that are all unique and taught in a non-threatening environment, making them always feel natural to encounter. The incorporation of secrets was also done really well, with most of them being well hidden and unnecessary to complete the game, but very rewarding for getting to the secret area and completing the obstacle in it. The story is rather simple and it can be cliché, but it does its job to progress the game and show you different areas. I particularly like Spectre Knight's story for showing the story of a villain and having flashbacks after several stages. The main reason why this game is so low on the list is because it can be quite brutal. You lose around a third of your money if you die, and while it is technically retrievable, you might not be able to safely access it. Plus, if you die again without getting hit, you lose more money and the original money disappears. With instant death pits and spikes, upgrading your health doesn't help this problem much, if at all. It doesn't help that hitting and getting hit by enemies gives you recoil, and Spectre Knight for some reason is able to target attack downward into things that don't bounce him up, both of which can send you into instant death. The game is also rather short, with each game being under 10 hours to play, but for the low price tag that doesn't matter as much. And when you aren't losing all your money, this game has tons of positive elements that just make you feel good and nostalgic, putting it here on the list. Number 16, Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix. I love the Dance Dance Revolution series as a whole. Getting active in a fun way with video games is a feat only a few franchises pulled off successfully, and this franchise is definitely one of them. But I ultimately have to give this spot to the game that introduced me to the series in the first place. This quirky little game wasn't too popular, but it was my first introduction to the series back when I was pretty young. The story isn't anything remarkable, but it is quite entertaining while you play it, and it wraps many different themes of songs together. Speaking of the songs, they're very well crafted, taking well-known Nintendo and classical songs alike, and remixing them to have a groovy dance feel. My favorites are Blooper Bop, a remix of the original Mario water theme, Deep Freeze, a remix of the Dr. Mario theme,
Absolutely wonderful!
and Rendezvous on Ice, a remix of the waltz song Les Patineurs.
You move smoothly.
This game also has Mush Mode, where different Mario elements will appear in the dance and affect it in different ways. Examples of this include Koopas that must be hit for 2 beats in a row, then they potentially destroy the next arrow in that column. Arrow Cheeps that change the direction of an arrow, Spinies that should not be hit, various items and enemies that curve into their column and are passed back and forth in duels, and various other items and enemies that cover the bottom of the screen if you miss them. Overall, I think this game is often overlooked because of the corny story, but it actually succeeds at having great dance music, which in my opinion is the most important part of a dance game. And Waluigi's sick dance moves, am I right? No? Well then, moving on. Number 15, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. No, I'm not just memeing, I actually like this game. It controls quite well with slick movement and little lag upon hitting someone or landing on the ground. The characters cover a diverse range of PlayStation franchises, and they all have vastly different movesets aside from Cole and Evil Cole, making the game promote many different playstyles. The main difference this platform fighter has is the super system, wherein your super meter goes up for every attack you land or are hit by. Upon filling the meter, your super attack goes up by 1 level, up to level 3, and these super attacks are the only way you can kill. Many people hate how killing characters is delegated to just a few moves, but I like how for most characters, the super moves detract from what may be the most optimal strategy to build the meter. It is strange how different characters take more or less super to fill the meter, and some characters have the advantage because they have strictly better supers. Specifically, the programmers likely didn't intend level 1 supers to be very good or have true combos into them, but with how the aforementioned reduced lag on landing works, characters like Raiden, Jak and Daxter, Fat Princess, Sweet Tooth, and Sackboy still have reliable kill setups with level 1. Blocking is also odd in this game, because no regular attacks ever beat block, but grabs not only go through block, but also take away super from the blocker. They also made some odd balance patches, nerfing skillful top tiers like Isaac to the ground, while keeping spammy top tiers like Kratos at the top. When I played this game, I played Jak and Daxter, Parappa the Rapper, and Isaac, with pocket characters Sackboy and Kratos. I made some friends with this game, and while I can admit the game has lots of faults, I came into it with no preconceptions and ended up enjoying it for what it is. Number 14, Mario Party DS. Of all the Mario Party games to choose as the best, a lot of you probably weren't expecting this one, but this was the entry I spent by far the most time on, and the more I look back on it, the more great features I remembered it having. While there are only 5 boards, all of them have unique traits that make them a different experience to play. Wiggler's Garden is standard, Toadette's Music Room has stars cycle from 5 coins up to 30, DK's Stone Statue, my favorite, has a static star space where you can buy as many stars as you can each time you pass it, Kamek's Library has multiple jars that could contain a star or something else, as well as warp spaces, and Bowser's Pinball Machine can throw you into a place where you could lose everything, or if you're lucky it'll throw you to a place where you can be given stars. More notable than the boards, however, are the minigames. Aside from the few luck-based ones, they're all quite good and well balanced with clever use of the buttons, touchscreen, and microphone. I would give examples of minigames I like, but there are just so many. It seems like they were aware of that since they made several minigame modes dedicated to them in a competitive way. Most notably, Score Scuffle awards you not just for winning minigames, but for exactly how well you did on them, and Rocket Rascals has a simple yet engaging tile game to motivate you to win minigames. The puzzle mode is also a great throwback to the amazing puzzle minigames from previous games, as well as a new puzzle game, and you can play them on your own or compete with someone else locally. I also have to give credit for the local multiplayer for only requiring 1 copy of the game for full functionality in every mode. While this isn't the best party video game in my opinion, I've played it so much that it earns its spot on the list. I have to mention Super Mario Party, even though it hasn't been released yet, because it looks like it's going to be amazing, since it reverts from the dumb cars and mini-stars back to regular board mechanics, and some boards also have a new grid-like structure instead, which might be even more fun. Number 13, Guitar Hero World Tour. In terms of musical rhythm games, it's not just dance games I like, I'm also a fan of the Guitar Hero series, and this was the game I spent the most time on. The classic Guitar Hero gameplay that everyone loved from the first 3 games is back, now with the new slide bar that helps emulate sounds that aren't typical guitar strums. But on top of the guitar, they now have tracks for bass, which plays the same as guitar, drums, which actually provide a fairly realistic interpretation of playing the drums, and of course vocals, the part everyone remembers. Getting a group of people to play each instrument brings a very satisfying feeling that you are impacting the entire song, a feeling that I frequently got when I played this game with friends. The song list has some really good songs in there, including Eye of the Tiger, Mr. Crowley, BYOB, American Woman, Heartbreaker, and so many other classic hit songs. They also took some time to put songs from other countries into the game, and while some, like La Bamba, seemed like cop-outs, others like Elvia Elviacas ended up being great inclusions. There was also a very primitive custom song creator, and while I didn't understand it enough to use it when I played the game, I have to give it credit for attempting such an ambitious feat. Fun fact, when I first played the game, I had no experience with a real guitar or any other instrument of the same fashion. I ended up playing the frets like a piano, 1 finger per fret, since I was uncomfortable with shifting or stretching my hand to reach all 5 frets with just 4 fingers. But of course, I eventually learned how to play it properly, and now that I can stand up and play at the same time, that only makes the game even more fun. There is limited potential for this game too, so I'm not putting it in top 10. By the way, Toy Boy might not be the best song, but you shouldn't dismiss how fun it is to play. I considered putting Clone Hero, the fan-made PC game that has all Guitar Hero and Rock Band tracks as well as user-made tracks with simplified and perfected graphics on the list instead. However, that game is questionable legally, and I don't have nearly as much experience with playing it as I did with World Tour. I've mostly just seen others play it. Number 12. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. If there were a contest for best games with the fewest amount of controls, this game would take the trophy. With only 2 bongos and a microphone, this game takes 3 controls and goes extremely far with it. I mean, you could play this game with a regular controller, but not only is it less optimal at times, where's the fun in that? If you're playing this game seriously by using the bongos, these are your controls. You move left and right with the respective bongo, pressing it faster to move faster. You jump, wall jump, and ground pound with both bongos at the same time. You interact with the environment in other ways like collecting bananas or getting thrown by a monkey by clapping or yelling into the microphone. All these controls, as well as any other miscellaneous controls that may show up, are gradually taught to you as you progress. While this isn't an exercise game per se, playing it with the bongos gets your body moving and your adrenaline pumping, and it feels even more satisfying to beat a stage. Not only are the controls simple and gratifying, the stages themselves have a wide range of themes and gameplay elements that will always keep you on your toes. I especially love the Cloud stage where you can continue your banana streak for the entire level and end up with over 3,000 beats. Plus, the boss stages are a breath of fresh air, actually being fighting based and intense for the most part, but still feeling familiar. Additionally, the visual presentation is actually phenomenal for a GameCube game, not only with the graphics themselves, but also the various UI elements. I also love how on completing each kingdom, you get different medals for different amounts of total beats, including the secret platinum medal for over 1,200 beats. While the game is rather short, I've played it so many times that my experience with it has not been short at all. It's a criminally underrated platformer, and you should play it just for the bongos. But why are the points for bananas called beats? Maybe it's a bongo pun, but I don't really know. Number 11. Jackbox Party Games. In terms of party video games, nothing beats a good round of Jackbox. The person on the home console chooses one of many fairly short games to play, then every player connects their web browser to the game in order to play. Between the 4, soon to be 5, party packs, there are over 15 unique game ideas. I'll go through my favorite ones now, starting with the big 3 that got sequels. Drawful is a hilarious game where you try to draw the prompt they give you and then people have to guess the prompt you got based off your drawing. Fibbage is an interesting trivia game where you make up fake potential answers to try to fool other people into thinking it's the truth, while trying to find the truth yourself. And Quiplash is a crazy game where you give the funniest answers to prompts, your answers are pitted against the other people who got the same prompts, and then everyone else votes on the funnier answer. On top of this, there are some smaller games that are also really fun. Earwax is a crazy game where you pick 2 sound effects that best describe the prompt the judge selected, made fun by the fact that you were only given a verbal description of a sound effect before you choose it. Fakin' It is a heavily real-life game based on strategy and poker facing, where one person doesn't get the prompt everyone else gets, but has to try to blend in to avoid getting caught. And TKO is a game where people's random art is paired with other people's random phrases to make the funniest t-shirts possible. The main problem I have with this series is that there are too many trivia games, which get boring after many plays once you know the answers. But there are still tons of fun games to peruse in these party packs, so get Jackboxing.